Marhaba wa ahla wa fikum. I hope you're well and having a wonderful day wherever you are. In this tutorial, we'll be talking about morphology. What's morphology and how do we use it? And I'll give you an example. Some of you might find morphology a little bit confusing in terms of the definition. However, when I show you the examples, you'll find them really easy. But first and foremost, let's have a look at what do we mean by morphology. Well, as we know, the Arabic grammar as well, I will be reading the same text as you see in front of you. Again, let's have a look. Arabic grammar consists of two main things. So the first one is the syntax, or what we call it nahu, and the second one's called sarf, which is morphology. The syntax studies the formation of the sentences, meaning the structure. For example, it teaches us the changes which happen to a word because of its position in the sentence. For example, when we talk about the past tense and the present tense and the way we form it, and sometimes when the object comes first, or the subject and how we attach those possessive pronouns to a certain vocabulary in order to say he owns this, and this is his house, and this is their house, and I have his house, I have his pen. So that's syntax. So the syntax studies the formation of a sentence and the order and the structure. Whereas on the other side, the morphology studies the pattern of a word and how we form a word from another word, regardless of its position in a sentence. What do I mean? Morphology teaches us how to make different variations or patterns or derivatives of a verb. On the right-hand side, you might find this a little bit random, but it isn't. All will be explained soon. It would be great that you kind of start to recognize and remember the Arabic numbers on the side and as well the Arabic numbers on this side, which we call them these days English numbers. Both of them, they're Arabic numbers. So obviously here, these are the Arabic numbers. And on this side, these are the Hindi numbers. But we use the Hindi numbers. A couple of things we need to understand before going any further. Morphology studies only the variable words. So the words that we can be transformed from a pattern to another in order to express a different meaning that it is related to the same root verb, that's the case most of the time. Therefore, morphology will never ever study other variables such as the pronouns, for example, the demonstrative pronouns or the relative pronouns or the interrogative pronouns. Morphology as well will never ever study other particles such as min, from, kam, which means how many, hal, or law. It will never ever study these because these are all basically letters and nothing can be derived from them or ever they could be related to any roots. And most importantly, and what we need to pay attention is morphology will teach you and will learn you the diversion or the derivatives. However, we need to understand that morphology will teach us how to derive certain vocabulary from certain verbs or certain root vocabulary. Let me show you an example, hopefully to explain what do I mean by morphology. Here we've got the verb katab. The verb katab is a root verb and it's standard, not irregular. Katab, which means to write. What you see I've highlighted in red, it's called the derivatives. So maktab, it's a name of a place where the action takes a place. Maktaba is the name of a place but feminine. So maktab is the name of a place, masculine, and maktaba or maktabe is the name of a place but feminine. Maktab, which means an office, and maktaba, which means a library. Both sound the same, but this one is the feminine version and we use it to refer to a library. But here, maktab, we use it to refer to a desk. The third one is kutayyib. Kutayyib, which means a booklet. So slightly or much smaller than a book. Kutayyib. So again, this is a pattern, a derivative, and the way we conjugated it. But kindly note, not every single verb would have every single form or derivative. Maktub is written. Maktub is written, and it's the passive. Maktub, written. Katibe is a writer. So that's the active participle I have taught you when we went ahead and conjugated the tenses. That's the active participle, katibe, because it's the ER form, writer or plumber, and so on. So كاتبة, as you see here, the red letters or script, it teaches you and it shows you what we've added as an extra in order to change the meaning from to write to become writer. And this is what we call morphology, because it deals with nouns and the formation of a noun and the way we form a derivative out of a root vocabulary or a root verb. كتابة, كتابة is a writing. كتابة is a writing. Kitab is the book. So kitab is the book, and kutayib, as you see here above, that's the booklet. Istaktab, which means to write or to make somebody else to write. Istaktab, and that's form 10 from the verbs. Hopefully one day I'll look at the forms. Istaktab and istaktab, which means to write. Great. And what we need to know, or what we need to understand from what you see here in front of you, there are a couple of things we need to take in consideration. The first thing and the most important is if you memorize a verb, you will be able to guess the meaning of none the least of 13 derivatives. And on an average, a verb in Arabic, you could conjugate and derive approximately 15 derivatives, but again, that varies from a verb to another. So katab is to write, maktab is an office, maktabe is library, kutayib is a booklet, maktub, written, katabe, writer, kitabe, writing, kitab, a book, istaktab, which means to write. So if you memorize a verb, you'll be able to guess the meaning of none the least between 14 to 22 derivatives, and that's how it works in Arabic. So as you see, morphology derives certain vocabulary using certain forms out of a 3-letter root verb in order to form different meanings. It's very much like the equivalent in English of study, studies, or studying, for example, but obviously English is a little bit limited. However, in Arabic is considered a level 1 language, meaning it gave to so many other languages, and lots of other languages relied on Arabic system in order to build and enlarge itself. Here we've got a very basic example and the meaning for every word you saw before. كتب. الكاتب كتب العديد من القصص الرائعة عندما عاش في باريس. الكاتب كتب العديد من القصص الرائعة عندما عاش في باريس. And here it is a very basic example. We've got the English transliteration and we've got the English. And as you see here, the numbers here do correspond to the other page, and that's why I asked you pay attention to the Arabic numbers, and here are as well the other numbers, so you'll be able to know what every vocabulary meant. Great, guys. I meant to make a short video. I didn't want to make a very long video. I want to highlight the importance of morphology, and in today's tutorial was the verb to write, and just to give an idea on the importance of morphology in Arabic for you to expand your learning and your horizon when learning Arabic. Great, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you found it helpful, and in a way I was able to help you in a way or another. Thank you all very much. Stay safe and ma salame.